Hi and welcome back to Garden Ninja. Today's video guide is going to give you a sneak peek behind the scenes of one of my latest designs, and along the way I'm going to be giving you loads of design hints and tips that other garden designers want to keep secret. So come on, let's get designing. If you've not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit the red button to subscribe today. Also click the bell for notifications. We'll have access to hundreds of garden design hints, tips and hacks from me, the Garden Ninja. And best of all, it's free. So this video is going to take you through a time lapse of me painting up one of my designs, and along the way I'm going to be showing you why I've made certain choices so you can make better choices in your own gardens. Now, the first thing I do when designing any garden is work out the function. What is the end user going to do in the garden 90% of the time? And if you follow that rule, you won't go far wrong when it comes to laying out the different areas of the garden. If you fail to get the function right, you're just going to be guessing and cramming things into your design that you think you want. But it's really important to work out what you actually need in a garden. Now, this garden is for a young couple in a city area, and it's an urban garden, a small space, and the main function is for them to be able to grow their own fruits and vegetables. It's a produce garden. It's heavily overlooked, and they want to be able to harvest things throughout the year and grow things. They're going to be really involved in this garden. So you'll notice the first thing is that there's no lawn. It's entirely productive, but that doesn't mean boring. If we start with the paths that surround the different areas of the garden, you'll notice that they're really generous. And when it comes to paths, you should always aim for 1.2 metres, or if you can, 1.5, meaning that it's comfortable for two people to walk side by side. So this garden design has the paths at 1.5 metres, so it's really relaxed and they've got loads of room to move around each other, use a wheelbarrow and pick produce. So you'll notice that I've laid the garden out in a very geometric pattern, and I've used raised beds to lift the planting off the floor, and that's because it has really poor soil. It's a mix of rubble and some heavy clay, which for fruit and veg the couple are going to struggle with, because most fruit and veg like a free draining soil that's rich in organic matter. So by using raised beds, it means that they can pick soil that's perfect for the crops and allows them to grow far more plants than if they tried to stick with that original rubbly clay soil. So if you've got poor soil, why not consider lifting up the garden in raised beds and containers to help you pick the soil that you want, rather than coping with the soil that you've got. You'll also notice that I've given the garden a central focal point, and this is an outdoor dining area. But rather than just popping a table and some chairs in there, I've surrounded it again with raised beds that are going to be full of fruit and herbs, meaning that the couple can sit in the centre of the garden at night and pick vegetables and herbs and just sit there and be really immersed. Because it's a really overlooked garden, you'll notice that I've put these sliding screens in front of the outdoor dining room, meaning that once they're in there, they can pull the screens shut and they'll feel like they're completely hidden from neighbours and views. Talking about privacy, urban spaces can be really heavily overlooked, and we can often feel like we just want to put walls up or go back inside. But a good idea is to use specimen trees and small structures to help disguise the worst offending views. In this garden, I'm using some specimen trees that are suitable for small gardens such as birch and fruit trees, just to block off a few of those windows. At the back of the garden, we've got a really romantic arbour, a two-seater seat. Now, this is quite an interesting structure because it will pull your eye through the garden, but I also wanted to encourage loads of wildlife, so we've given it a green reef just to make sure that we get the most bang for our buck out of this small garden space. The couple also wanted the sound of water to help disguise some of the neighbours' noises, and I've used one of the old dolly tubs that they had lying around the garden to create this bubbling water feature that will just slowly give a little bit of background noise to dampen some of the other neighbours as they're out in their gardens. If you've got a small garden and you want to grow fruit and you think I've not got space, then why not consider espalier fruit trees? And these are fruit trees that have been trained to grow horizontally, meaning they don't take up as much space, and you actually get more fruit on them if they're well trained. Now, espalier fruit trees grow really well against a wall which retains the heat and means that you get a really bountiful crop. It's not just fruit and veg that I've planned in this garden. I've also used a mix of beautiful herbaceous plants on that soft pink, purple and white planting palette. I've also popped in a few scrambling roses that will climb up that arbour and make the whole garden feel really soft and relaxed. So when the fruit and veg is starting at early season, we've still got herbaceous perennials that will add interest and colour to the garden. But not only that, they will attract wildlife that will help them pollinate the fruit and veg. So it really is a full cycle garden. Now, this is only a small garden, but you can see from the design just how much I've managed to fit in by using restraint and keeping to that function of grow your own. If I'd have tried to put a lawn in, a shed, a play area for kids, all of a sudden the garden starts to feel really bitty and patchwork. So if you can, stick to 1 or 2 functions and do them really well. And don't be scared of getting rid of the lawn, because there's plenty more growing in here than if I had a lawn surrounded by a few skinny borders. Now let's talk about hard landscaping. I could have used paving in this garden, which would have looked really gorgeous. However, it's a small urban space and water runoff is a real concern. So I've chosen to use gravel, which will act as a huge soakaway, because what I don't want is water to run off into neighbouring properties back towards the house or cause issues for drainage. And given that our urban spaces are getting more tight and smaller, it's really worthwhile considering drainage or soakaways if you're going to have things like paving and hard landscaping. Because what you don't want is the water to have nowhere to go, because you'll end up with wet flower beds and the potential for damp. So make sure you consider, where's the water going to go? Have you got gardening questions that you need answers for? Well, why not head over to the Garden Ninja forum on my blog, where you can ask me anything about gardens, plants and garden design. There's a whole army of other garden ninjas there that can help provide answers to your questions. It's a really great way to meet the other ninjas, so head over there now. So there we have it, a behind the scenes tour of this small garden, giving you some top tips maybe that other designers wouldn't want to share. If you've liked this video, please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking subscribe below. Hit the bell for notifications, and I'd love to hear from you. Why not go and check out my Instagram account? You can see even more behind the scenes garden design, hints, tips and hacks to help you make your gardens awesome. I've been Lee Burkhill, the Garden Ninja. Happy gardening.